We'll begin our questions this morning, starting first with, do you understand the relationship between Easley Combined Utilities and the City of Easley? Mr. Goodwin.
Yes, Easley, the City of Easley and Combined Utilities, we are standalone entities, but yet we have a sibling relationship. And I'm sure Jim Robinson, and I know some of the city people are here today, and I'll try to do it justice. We are standalone, but we have to go through the city for our bonding. So if we need to borrow money, we have to go through the city. So we are standalone from the standpoint that the collections from the rates and everything, they are through Easley Combined Utilities. They do not go to the city. So that, I think, is the best way to do it. There are some cities, and I'm not saying that the City of Easley would do that, but I believe that us being separate allows us to keep the revenues from the utility within the utility. We're able to keep and maintain, our water lines, the sewer lines, and the power poles and power lines and so forth. So sometimes I think you've seen where if it was a different setup, those revenues could be put in the general fund basically in a city, and you wouldn't. Sometimes it might get glossed over that, well, hey, we need to buy a fire truck this year instead of change that fire hydrant out or something like that. So I think that we have a good working relationship with the city. Again, we're standalone, but yet we do have a sibling relationship because we have to go through them for our bonding and so forth.
Yes, it's a convoluted situation, it seems like to me. You have to ask the right questions, and that's tough. I've already approached City Hall about this same issue. This is not my only issue. Smart meter's an issue also. Not as great as everyone makes it seem to be, but anyhow, I have some other issues, but I'll talk about those later. I don't understand the whole deal. It is very convoluted. Like I say, when I go to the city, and I've just recently talked with Justin about when are they going to fix these sidewalks. Well, he has no idea. And I was just curious if the telecommunications industry is just going to walk away and we're going to end up footing the bill for all that. I don't know. It's been 4 weeks at least since that sidewalk's been tore up. And there's numerous. There's 12 or so just in this little area that I've seen. I've taken pictures of. I ride my bike through town. They're moving towards the big water tower now. So I feel like that eventually we have no control over this. And the city's already voted. And what they voted on was, it came straight off of the Municipal Association of South Carolina, MASC.SC. You can go there and download what they approved. It was written by the telecommunications company, and just the City Hall just pushed it on through. They had no concerns other than what it would look like. That was what their concern was, aesthetics. They wanted these small cell poles, their 5G, whatever you want to call them. I don't know exactly what 5G is. I'm not sure anybody really knows what 5G is, but that was their only concern, was what it looked like. And so they just get a rubber stamped it and send it on through. I've approached City Hall about this and 3 or 4 times and got nowhere with them. I'm just happy to get my message out. Is this coming? I mean, I know that we're not going to stop this, but there are safer and better ways to do this. I talked with the young lady up here about the school system. This is part of the school system. I can't imagine what 40 children in a classroom with their cell phones in their pockets and the Wi-Fi of a laptop, the EMF radiation would be pretty high, I would imagine. And there are health effects from this. Nobody wants to acknowledge that. But it's very available there. You can read about it on the internet, no problem. Thank you.
Gentlemen, what do you see as the role of a commissioner of Easley Combined Utilities?
Okay, so as a commissioner, we have the ability to hire the general manager. We set the rates and the charges that the utility charges, obviously, for our services that are water, sewer, and power only. We approved the budgets. We set regulations for the operation of the utility, and we also plan for future expansion. So we set the overall guiding principles of the organization. We do not need to be involved, and we're not involved in the day-to-day operations. We have hired a general manager and hired a staff, and that is their, that is what they do. And we don't need to meddle in that. So what we do is we try to basically give an overarching view of what we feel like the utility needs to provide for the city going forward. So we set the rates, we approve the budgets, and we look at future expansion possibilities. I mean, every year we have a budget retreat, and so we'll have a 10-year facility plan for each department for growth and development and reliability of the services that we provide. And that's incorporated into our capital plan that is updated yearly. And so within that capital plan, we include the projected cost of any future expansion, the timing of that, the projected source of funds where we can utilize those to expand or maintain the services that are the source of the funds. And so we do that it's a 10-year capital plan, but we also do a 5-year pro forma financial forecast for that. So I think that as commissioners, we need to basically set the tone and set the goals for the organization, but let the staff and the general manager run it on a daily basis.
Repeat the question, please.
What do you see as the role of a commissioner of Easley Combined Utilities?
Yeah, I'm going to say ditto for everything that he just said. I'm new, he's the incumbent. I understand that. I've got a lot to learn, and I know that. I'm still, once again, I'm coming from this as a public health safety issue that no one seems to want to talk about. That's where I'm coming from. I'm hoping to bring a voice of reason to this. There are safer ways to deal with this type of radiation. All you got to do is plug it in. I have meters. I've metered my office, my Wi-Fi, try to get that cut off. All I have to do is plug an Ethernet connection in, and it nullifies all that radiation that's coming out. And I have a cement block building, so it's just bouncing around inside the building too. Worst thing you can do is talk on your telephone, cut the phone in the car, because it's just bouncing all around in there. Anyhow, I come as just a voice from a public health safety issue. I taught Ringgold Tech, I taught anatomy and physiology. I don't know if there's any nurses in the room, but if you know what's called a voltage-gated calcium ion channel, that is a channel in your cell that's affected by EMF. A lot of people think it has a lot to do with dementia. So I don't want to scare anybody, but once again, public safety and health is what I'm looking at. I don't think this is a good idea. ECU is going to have to supply the power for these small cells the way I understand it. I don't understand it all, and I don't claim to understand it all, but when I ride down here towards Ingalls and I see 4 lines that are hanging so low, I could almost jump up and touch them with my hand from the sidewalk. I'm kind of discouraged, and I'm asking questions like, well, who's going to put that other pole in the middle of that and hold that up? Is that going to be on us, or is that going to be on the telecommunications company? I feel like we're being taken advantage of. I don't know if we have a chance or not, but I'm just opposed to what's happening in town. I want things to be safe. That's what I'm all about. I just want to bring a voice of public safety to the ECU, not just a technological and an engineering viewpoint. There's other issues. Harmonics with the smart meters are a problem also. Nobody wants to talk about that. Anyhow, my time's up.
What do you view as your personal qualifications to serve as an Easley Combined Utilities Commissioner?
Well, I was in the construction industry for about 15 years prior, and then also now being a real estate appraiser. Obviously, when I was working in construction, I worked hand in hand with the utility companies as we were, getting services provided to the buildings that we were building. So we needed you need to have, obviously a good working relationship with the guys and ladies that are providing the water meter and the sewer tap and getting the power to the building. And then also as a real estate appraiser, and I see it everywhere that I appraise, the availability or the lack thereof of utilities has it determines the value. It can help determine the value of your property. So I want to be able to make sure that within the city and outside the area, because we obviously service areas outside the city, that we are a viable and reliable provider of services of water, power, and sewer. That's all we provide, and we want to be able to make sure we do that. Other qualifications, obviously, I'm a rate payer. I'm a payer, so I get it on the demand side. But now that I've been a commissioner, I've seen it on the supply side, so I understand it from that side as well now. But I've been involved in the city with different organizations, through my church and through Rotary and through the chamber. So I feel like I've got a good working relationship with people in the area. So I feel like those are also some qualifications to my service to other organizations and the YMCA as well.
I feel my qualifications are that I'm a doctor of chiropractic. That may not be a whole lot to y'all, but I do have some education. I do x-ray people almost on a daily basis. I do understand radiation. There is non-ionizing radiation and ionizing radiation. There are a difference between EMF and an x-ray. But if you put the old adage of you sticking the frog in the bowl in the cold water and just slowly turn the heat up, that's kind of what's happening here. So I just want people to understand that. Anyhow, qualifications are served in the U.S. military for 4 years. I was in Tier Communications, 2nd class, Petty Officer, 2nd class. If y'all know what that means, I don't know if you do or not, but climbed the mast many times on a USS aircraft carrier to service communications equipment, on the ship, study electronics and electricity, kind of understand some of that type of communications equipment type stuff, understand the difference between ionizing and non-ionizing radiation, because I have had to take classes. I'm a certified chiropractic radiologist. I'm not a radiologist per se, but I do x-ray people on a daily basis, and I understand how to do that and what that is. Those are my qualifications. I'm a concerned citizen. I love this town. I don't have a family. I have 2 dogs. I have lots of time to devote to research. I do a lot of reading and a lot of research. And I, talked to ECU and I showed some YouTube videos, and a lot of people think it's kind of funny. YouTube is kind of funny, but if you got a message, how do you get it out? YouTube's about it, So I don't know. The media does not want to talk about this. I've got plenty of information on this. If anybody's interested, please ask me afterwards. I can email you stuff. I'm concerned. We're under attack almost, is what I think. I mean, if you've seen how many different crews have been digging around town, it's kind of unusual and happening very, very fast. And they want it to happen fast because they don't want you to ask questions about this. And the equipment that they'll be putting up, I'm not even so sure that ECU knows what they're going to be putting up. So I'm very concerned about this. Thank you.
Excuse me. How is ECU different from an electric cooperative or a utility owned by stockholders? And Dr. Jones, we'll let you answer this first.
I don't know exactly how they're different. I know they have 25% stake in Catawba, and with I think it's 10 other groups. I have read most of the stuff on the website. I can't recall things straight from memory. I know we've got 6 substations and 3 sewer treatment plants. I'm a pretty quick study. I take a day off for 1 week, and I'll be happy to ride around with Alex or any of the sewer guys or anything that studied this issue. I have plenty of time, and I'm quite willing to jump in and do my part. And I want to be a positive effect on ECU. I don't want to just say I like what they do. I like ECU. I have no problems with ECU. the city's kind of partly responsible for some of the stuff that's going on also, but I felt like my time would be best served at DCU, being a voice of public health. This is a public health crisis. If you don't realize this is coming, it's coming whether we want it to or not. I think we need to get on top of this and talk with the telecommunications industry somehow. I mean, we've got lines and poles and stuff. They're quite willing to get out here and do stuff that makes them money, but when it comes time to pull that wire down that's no longer in use, that thing will stay there forever, and they don't care. That's not making them money. They're not sending somebody out to clean up our power lines and things like that. There's plenty of places that have 2 telephone poles sitting there, and one of them needs to go, and they can take care of that. If they don't, that's not making them money. So I'm concerned about what's happening with the payers of combined utilities. I think we're being taken advantage of by telecommunications companies.
The question involved the structure of combined. We are a citizen-created, municipally owned utility. We are a not-for-profit, locally owned. So the citizens within the city limits of Easley own Easley Combined Utilities. A co-op is similar in structure, but it's a private structure. They have a board, and they're also owned by their ratepayers or their customers. The other is an IOU, an investor-owned utility, which is a Duke or a Dominion. What used to be Progress, but Duke bought them. So what they are, they're governed by a board of directors, and they're owned by shareholders. Some of y'all may own Duke Power stock, you may own some Dominion stock now that you don't have skin up anymore. But anyway, so the difference being we are locally based. We are here in town, and the 3 of us as commissioners are available for you to call us. So you can come to our meetings once a month. We meet generally the 2nd Monday of every month. We don't get a lot, but Jerry's done a couple times. We do get some people come. David's been here several times as well. So the benefit of that is you know us, you see us in town, and you can call us. And I was talking with Chris Robinson last night, and he was like, well, what about the people that don't live in the city? What are their recourse? And I'll tell you, I get as many calls from people outside the city as I do within. And we're just as responsive, I can assure you. We had somebody the other day that, matter of fact, lived off of Heritage Road in the Heathwood subdivision. That's not in the city, but they are our customers. So we are as responsive to those outside the city that are not voting as are the ones that do vote. So we are a municipally owned, citizen-created utility.
Easley's experiencing steady growth over the past year or so, and it looks as if it will continue in the future. What is your opinion or position on how this growth should be funded? Dr. Jones?
The growth is going to continue. Obviously, we're just experiencing huge amount of growth. The mill, I think, is having 150 put in. There's 150 houses down here. I'm sure the taxes are going up, and usually our power bill never really goes down that I've ever encountered that I can recall. I don't know. I think the taxes will have to rise. I know we've got a lot of work to do down here close to the Ingles because it's a really bad bottleneck. I know some of the cities in in Greenville, where there's areas that are really going to be congested, they dig trenches and stuff to run all these wires underground, which would be wonderful, and get rid of all these telephone poles down, these utility poles down here close to the Eagles. And that's not the only place, but funding, I don't know, taxes is probably it. The roads, I don't know, we're paying big money on roads. I've seen a few roads fixed. I've seen a few things go on. I don't agree with everything that's happening. I do enjoy the grass. I think we could have done without the grass in front of the city hall, but anyway, that's none of my business. I don't really know the taxes and all would be funding most of this growth as far as I can see.
I'm sorry, can you mind repeating that?
Happy to. Easley's experiencing steady growth over the past year or so, and it looks as if it will continue in the future. What is your opinion or position on how this growth should be funded?
Well, I mean, I feel like that a lot of it is being funded by the new development. I mean, you know, if they're coming in, and doing we'll use subdivision for example, they will, pay to have the sewer taps and the water taps, so they're paying for it up front to a degree, and then obviously, once they come on for lack of a better word, once they come on the rolls from a ratepayer standpoint, then they're in. So I think that there is some upfront cost being borne by the developer and by the people that are moving in. Now, there's an argument that can be made that are they paying enough? I'm not ready to get into that discussion. But I think that the inhibitor to growth in Easley is not going to be the utility system. It's going to be the roads. We are set up from a utility system. We've got an 18 million gallon per day water plant, that is not at capacity right now. We run about 8 to 9 million a day, and at peak times we're probably about 11 to 13, just depending on what year it is and how dry we are. So we're good on water capacity. Sewer capacity, as David mentioned, we've got 3 plants. We have one that's in northern Anderson County, Middle Branch, which actually probably takes the bulk of it, but at some point in time, I feel like Anderson County will take that back, and so that'll open up capacity for us. We've also just purchased the capacity, the Creighton Creek line, and 500,000 gallons per day capacity in the Rewa plant, kind of over near the raceway, Greenville Pickens Speedway. So we are, from a utility standpoint, we are ready for the growth of whatever Easley and the surrounding community brings to us, but I still say that the roads would be the inhibiting factor.
How can you, as a commissioner, help ECU streamline processes to maintain cost to customers? Mr. Goodwin?
Okay, I'll give, and again, and this is where my experience on being on the commission has helped. The staff does a really good job of seeking out economies of scale, and trying to make sure that we're good stewards for our ratepayers, which we are obviously a part of. And so, from a productivity standpoint, I'll say economies of scale. So one thing, and I'll give you a couple of examples. One of the things that we've done is we've implemented an electrical demand side management program that saves ECU $90 per year for every device installed. And so what that helps us reduce our cost from an electrical standpoint. Talking about smart meters, smart meters help us find outages immediately. I mean, we know where the outages are almost before they happen, because we can see that coming from the system that we have, and so we can quickly get to that outage. So that's a productivity aspect, which provides faster restoration of power. The smart meters reduce meter reading costs and assist in identifying potential theft of electricity. And then also, from a water system standpoint, the smart meters on the water side also help us detect water leaks and save money from that standpoint. So those are some economies of scale and some productivity things that we look for. There are others that I'm not mentioning. I'll have to think about some more, but those are the first ones that come to mind.
Well, he mentioned the smart meters. I'm not mistaken, and these guys know more about it than I do. I've read some about it. There was a big federal stimulus if you bought the smart meters and implemented this smart grid stuff, which most experts don't really think is a real smart grid, because it can be hacked. So the people that I've talked to, or a technician that I've talked to, and I made this mistake on a radio show, I believe I mentioned that it was our power was being read 4 times a minute. They say it's 4 times every hour. I feel like that can be some privacy issues. One thing with the smart meters is that it's a computer. It's gonna break down in 5 or 6 years. This heat's gonna tear it up. I had a meter in my office that they came to replace with a smart meter, and I asked what the deal was. The old one was fine. It was 13 years old, been working fine. They had a problem with it once. But he wanted to put a smart meter in. So I had to pay $150 for them not to put a smart meter in my office, and I get to pay $15 extra a month for them to ride by with a wand and pick that signal up from, it pings the signal to the road. So they've gone in and put smart meters in, and they claim that the hub is a great thing, and it may be for some people. I'm not a great computer guy. I still write checks and things. It's for them. It's for the ECU. They can push a button and cut your power off, and they don't have to send a technician out. That helps. But they had 2 guys that they're going to lay off to get these smart meters. We paid for these smart meters. Somehow they're going to break down in 6 or 7 years, I think, is my belief. And then we're going to have to replace them. We'll pay for that. There's plenty of other cities. Kentucky, Massachusetts, and another city I can't recall. I have the article in my bag. I'll be happy to share it with you. They rejected it. Said it was not cost effective. So they know something that we don't. I don't know. Cost effective, I don't know. I mean, our power is, it's pretty reasonable, I think, around here, and I'm grateful for that. I don't agree with the smart meter system. I don't see the reason to get rid of two guys out of that position. I could be wrong, but they are releasing 2 guys who just ride around with wands, and they wand and get your thing. And so that smart meter's doing that for it, but that thing is pulsing out a signal all day long, 4 times an hour, telling you what their power is. So what's the next generation smart meter going to do? It's going to record everything you do. It's a privacy issue. It can be hacked. They've been hacked already. I've got the articles. Thank you.
I'll take a moment at this time, ask Marissa to collect any questions that our audience has. We have about 3 or 4 more on my list, but if anybody has questions. Gentlemen, with the recent extended hot weather the area has been experiencing, do you believe that the Earth is experiencing climate change? And if so, do you think that man's burning of fossil fuels is contributing to climate change? Mr. Goodwin?
Well, that's a global question I really don't want to get into today, but anyway, we can talk about that. I think that there's probably evidence that there's some climate change occurring. What was the second part of that? What's our role in that? Is that what the question was?
If so, do you think that man's burning of fossil fuels is contributing to climate change?
Well, let's turn this into an easily combined positive. How about that? Let's turn that into an easily combined positive. So, as David mentioned, or Dr. Jones mentioned, we own 25% of Catawba 2 nuclear station on Lake Wylie in York County. And so basically, 82% of our power for the city of Easley is nuclear based. Now, obviously 82% is not 100%, so we also get 10% from Santee Cooper as a backstand, and that is from natural gas. It used to be coal, but now it's natural gas. We also get an allocation from the Southeastern Power Administration, SEPA, which is a hydropower from the western, Savannah River Lakes, Harpole and Russell and Clarks Hill. So we get that allocation. So 90% of the power that Easley has right now is carbon free. That's important. So keep that in mind whenever when people talking about fossil fuel burning and things of that nature. Your power in the city of Easley, 90% carbon free now. Okay, so we've had the debacle down the lower part of the state with the nuclear power with the Sumner plant. Well, they've got one thing, but anyway, so I want to turn that into a positive, that if you get asked about, burning of fossil fuels, we can't control what's going on outside the city of Easley, but I can tell you in the city of Easley that 90% of your power is carbon-free now.
No, I don't really believe you or Green Deal or whatever so much. I think it has been a very hot summer, but it's, like you said, I think we're fairly clean here. It has been a hot summer, but there's highs and lows, and if you look back through history, things have changed a good bit. I'm hoping for some rain. That's really what we need, is some rain. But I don't think adding more things that put ions, if you know what an ion is, it's a charged particle. That's what an antenna does. And the smaller these antennas are, the higher the frequency. So, they're going to have a hard time surviving in this heat too. They're probably going to break down. I think the smart meters are going to break down because of the heat too. I think we're going to start having some rolling blackouts. That may be part of the smart meter program. Concerned about the next generation of smart meters, how much information it's going to want to draw from us. I mean, information, when you go to their websites, they talk about their customers as they say leverage data. Data leveraging is what they speak of us as. Data leveraging. That's kind of a strange thing, but even they have on their websites, they have the stuff for the power, they have stuff for the water and all that, and they're kind of throwing this telecommunication stuff in there too. So I'm a little concerned. I don't see any reason to even heat the environment up even more. I'm glad we're as free of any cold that we possibly can be, but I'm not so sure about the warming of the earth and things and all that, so I haven't got into it that far, but thank you.
Following up with that question, recently there's been a lot of discussion at the federal level and in other states about renewable energy resources and implementing a mandatory standard for renewables, including wind, solar, tidal, etc. Do you support exploring and/or implementing alternative energy sources for South Carolina or for Easley specifically? Mr. Goodwin.
I don't really think from a federal level that they should be mandating to us what our percentage of how we, this is not the best way to term it, how we build up our base, power base. I don't believe that we should be given that. I mean, I think we need to be able to determine that on our own from a market-based standpoint. What's our best way? What's the best rate structure for our customers? So no, I do not agree with having that decreed from on high. I think eventually that wind and solar will be part of the mix, but right now they are not, just simply because they do not, if you have wind and solar, you have to have a backstand base, because it's not blowing, the wind's not blowing continuously and the sun's not shining continuously. And the battery technology is not thus yet that'll support saving that power while the sun is shining, while the wind is blowing. So you've got to have a strong base, and that's what we have in Easley. We've got the nuclear base. That's our primary power generation. So I do not believe in that until those items can support themselves without subsidies, because wind and solar are only competitive because of subsidies right now. Then I think we're in a good state how we are right now without having that mandated.
Yes, I support any solar and other things, but you have to look at what we're doing. Nuclear truly is the best alternative source of energy. It has the less pollution and everything. Per kilowatt, it's the most economical, I must say that. I do like the solar. I do wish that they did have some solar stuff where they would possibly buy back some power, but there are a good bit of drawbacks to solar also. There's pollution involved with making of these products. I mean, there's always a drawback to everything, but I'm all for picking up power, clean power sources from any other organization or group or whatever you want to call them. I think it's a good thing.
So what, in your opinion, can be done from a utility perspective to address potential climate change? Dr. Jones?
But out here at the transfer stations, they have a lot of fans and things like that on. I don't know, maybe painting them white or doing some other things. I mean, the sun is intense, and heat has a tendency to draw away power on a power line. You actually lose electricity through that heat process. So when you cool things down, it actually stays, you actually do better transmission, you have better conduction. This heat is a problem. These power stations that we have, they're some big fans. I've noticed they moved in some fans from Duke Power. Now, I don't know about ECU, they've actually just installed some cameras. I don't know what the cameras are for, but there's some things that I think can mitigate some of the heat from the sun that's coming down onto these stations. I don't know, that's a tough one. That's a tough question. That's about all I have. Thank you.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Have to. What, in your opinion, can be done from a utility perspective to address climate change?
Okay, well, again, I'll go back to the positive. I think that we are doing, from a combined utility standpoint, as much as we can right now. By purchasing, our power purchase is carbon free. That's the biggest thing. You know, that, and right now, I think the market is showing that. I know that they've tried to revamp coal, but the market is what's kind of gearing. From a pollution standpoint, the market is what's dictated natural gas being the primary generator instead of coal. It's not because they, were trying to get rid of it. I think it was a more polluting source, but I think that as the market will dictate what will happen in the future as it relates to going to alternative sources. So from our standpoint, I think we're doing all we can do. We're a nuclear powered city, and I think we're in good shape. We also get hydro, so we're 90%. I'm not sure what else we can do at this point.
What are your views on clean water supply, including environmental and access concerns? Dr. Jones?
Well, we got pretty good water here as far as I can tell. I have a filter in my system. People don't realize it, but there's a lot of stuff that still gets through. We still have a lot of plastic. Most of our water comes to us in PVC type pipe and stuff. Pollution-wise, I think we have a pretty good system. A lot of the construction guys are required to put up silt things to keep things out of the rivers and all that type of stuff. I think we're doing pretty good. The recycle place recycles oil, does some good things like that. We just need some rain more than anything. But we have a pretty good reservoir as far as I know. Everything's running pretty good. We have a good filtration system. The water's pretty quality here as far as I can tell. But once again, I'm a little bit of a skeptic. I filter my water still because of the estrogen that's in the water. It affects me pretty bad. But estrogen is a small molecule. It's very hard to filter out. So I have some filters that filter to very small molecular points. Anyway, enough about that. I really don't have a whole lot on that. I think we do pretty good. We need some rain. Yes, I know that.
Obviously, that's a very important thing for us and for the future of our citizens is we, clean water source. And our water source, if you don't know, is Saluda Lake. It's a 330-acre lake on the Greenville-Pickens County line. As far as pollution of that, and let's go into a little bit of what's going on. So back in say 2010, 2012, we actually, and this is before my time on the commission, dredged the lake because, as Dr. Jones was mentioning, we were getting a lot of infill from a lot of the development and agricultural uses up along the Saluda River. North and South Saluda River was obviously flowing down to the Saluda Lake. And so your commission decided that we needed to dredge that lake to try to get back the reservoir capacity. And so, so that's one way of trying to reduce pollution in our water source. Unfortunately, we just had that redone. I had that a study done, and 2/3 of that is already backfilled in. So it's an ongoing battle. So let me quickly jump and tell you how we're being proactive. So we're being proactive in trying. We've actually hired a lady who is our watershed manager, who's helping us kind of monitor the watershed. And then also, we've actually taken the ability, and we purchased 250 acres along the river banks. It was actually, the property was bisected by the river, and so we put into a conservation easement and actually put back, and we'll actually sell it to the Nature Land Trust. So I know my time's short, but I'm just letting you know that the commission is being proactive in trying to maintain your water source, so from a pollution standpoint.
Are there any other questions from our attendees? If you're lucky, I can read your handwriting. What influence does ECU have on other telecommunications companies to get pending work accomplished, such as the second power poles or low-hanging limbs that were discussed earlier? Dr. Jones?
Well, the meetings I've been to were a little hostile at first. I think we kind of got over some of that. Me and Joel kind of had a few words at the beginning. And the rest of the commission's been great. Everybody pretty much was silent, and you know, Joel's the general manager, and I don't want to cast any accusations. I want to go into this with a positive attitude. This telecommunications thing it's big. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this onion, and how much influence ECU has on it, I don't know. But most of these small cells, there's 4 so far in town. Now, I'm not sure, maybe these guys know, Canalys Systems, maybe part of their system, I'm not really sure. There's a couple of them on 93, but they do give off a pretty heavy signal. I've stood with a meter about 40 meters away, and it pegs my meter out. So a lot of EMF radiation coming off of some of this stuff already. Like I say, the goal, and this came from the mouth of the guy at City Hall at the meeting that I had. The last name was Ford. I can't remember his name, first name. He said, you know, the goal was every 500 to 1,000 feet. That's pretty close together. They're going to densify all these small cells, and the only reason to put them in is for people to use their phone. It's about streaming video and all that. I don't know if there's any. From everything I've been told, there's no financial connections between the telecommunications company. They say that they pay us to put stuff on the pole, but what is irradiating our community worth? I don't know. How do you put a cost on that? They pay us for putting stuff on the pole, and they pay us for the power, but I still say they're getting a sweetheart deal. Part of this stands with ECU, I feel like, and that's why I'm running for ECU. I feel like my service would be best served there, but this also goes to an issue with City Hall also. Thank you.
Mr. Gillespie, in all honesty, act of Congress would be a good metaphor for that.
Kind of like Southern Railway.
Yes, yes. Well, and I'll tell you, that's what's so difficult about the situation that Dr. Jones is bringing up. I'm not sure that Easily Combined Utilities wants to get into a legal battle by denying AT&T and Verizon Spirit and these other guys the ability to attach to our poles, because I don't know that we'll win that. Unfortunately, I don't want to take a dim view of it, but I'm just saying that we talk about trying to reduce our rates and trying to, economies of scale and productivity. And I understand the concern about radiation and things of that nature, but fighting a legal battle like that is not productive for us. I'll give you a point blank example. It doesn't answer your question, but it gives you an answer as to what we're dealing with. So last week had a phone call, or actually a Facebook message. I'm not on Facebook, my wife is, from a gentleman in Birdine Springs. We had a water leak in Birdine Springs, and he was complaining about mud in the road. We can fix that. Got the mud fixed. We had to come back, do it a couple times. We got it to where he's happy. Well, he also brought up the fact that we had just changed out the pole in his yard. He's on the corner in Birdine Springs, and the old pole is still there. Well, you know why? Because it's got the AT&T stuff on lines on it. Well, that's not our responsibility anymore to move those, So he's got 2 poles in his yard now. We fixed the original pole because it needed to be changed out. The AT&T pole, our old pole is still there because they won't move their stuff. So that tells you what we're dealing with. So unfortunately, that's the battle we're dealing with, unfortunately.
Can I say something?
We'll actually have our closing statements now, and Dr. Jones?
Okay. Well, the situation with the guy with the 2 poles in his yard, I mean, if we're required to supply AT&T power to one of their small cell antenna sites, why can't we just say, well, we're not going to give you power till y'all fix some things? I don't know. I mean, all I can tell you is that there's other towns in this country that are going against this. I have a Wall Street Journal. If y'all need peer review stuff, I'll give you whatever you want. I have a Wall Street Journal article that states multiple cities are fighting this. FCC bullying is what it is. They're allowing these companies to come in and take advantage. It's much easier to run a line across these telephone poles than it is to dig under the ground and run a crew and run these pipes and these big things. There's a lot fixing to happen, hopefully with the roads down here towards Ingalls. But, all that stuff hopefully will be underground at some point. I just have some concerns. I have some concerns of health. I'm the voice of public health and safety for combined utilities is what I'm looking at, okay? I will do whatever it needs to be done to accomplish that. We'll go buy some meters. Once these small cell antennas get established, they can do whatever they want to. It can get big as it wants to. The power supply will be humming all day long. So I say go ahead, put one in front of the mayor's house, okay? Start off with, I don't want one close to me, I can promise you that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Mr. Goodwin?
Appreciate y'all being here. It means a lot that y'all are here, and hopefully we've educated you on what our roles are as commissioners. I ask you for your vote because I want you to know that I'll do the best I can with the information that is placed before me whenever I take a vote as it relates to anything that I have to vote on at a commission meeting. I want you to know that the reliability and the viability of our systems are what drives my decision-making process for easily combined utilities. Anything, even going back to what I talked about, buying the property, for the water, that is reliability of our system. So I want you to know that that is what drives me as my goal is just to keep the system reliable. So whenever you flip that switch, the light turns on. Whenever you turn that faucet, the water comes out clean. And whenever you flush the toilet, it goes down. All right, appreciate your vote.
Thank you, gentlemen. And that concludes our forum, but before we adjourn, our chamber would like to thank the candidates for participating today. We appreciate your desire and willingness to serve in an elected position. We would also like to thank the Pickens County GOP for providing the opportunity to video our forums, which will allow our chamber to share this event online. Thanks to Easily Combined Utilities for sponsoring today's forum, and to Ninja Warrior Coffee House for serving as our coffee sponsor. Last but not least, we thank all of you for attending, and we hope you attend our next candidate forums for council and mayor on the 10th and 17th respectively. Thank you, and we are adjourned.
Oh, okay. I got it.
So you're gonna have a little